Hare Krishna, and welcome to Bhagavat Sravana. Happy to have you here today. It's a little light today. I know that people are keeping away because of the storm that's coming up later this afternoon. Thank you all for coming out. You look like you didn't know there was storm coming out. You're about to get up and leave. Just kidding. Thank you, Sri Prahlad, for the wonderful kirtan. Today we have Sri Prahlad as our special guest speaker. I'm personally, for a long time, I've been conflicted about Sri Prahlad, to be honest with you. Maybe this is not the place to go into this right now, but since I have a microphone. I always appreciated your kirtans so much. I mean, he's well known as one of the greatest kirtaniyas. And then, like years and years later, I heard him speak, and I'm like, oh my God, he's at least as good a speaker as he is a kirtaniya. So my conflict is, do I like him more as a speaker or a kirtaniya? But actually, on days like this, I can rest easy because I get both. So it's a boon for all of us. He was a bit of a musical prodigy as a child. When he was 12 years old, he secured a contract with EMI Records, one of the biggest record companies in the world. The Beatles recorded for EMI. And at 12 years old, he was signed by that label. At 15 years old, he was initiated by His Holiness Britananda Maharaj. An instructing guru of his is His Holiness Indrajuna Maharaj, and for about 18 years, give or take, he traveled with Maharaj, was secretary of Maharaj, and really was a key component in helping establish Maharaj's program with the Woodstock Festival and the Polish tour, which was legendary at this point. For just about almost 2 decades.
Three. More than 3.
More than you involved. Yeah, okay.
But his progress been going for more than 3.
Yeah, his progress been going for more than 3. And you were certainly a key component to establishing it and for its success. So, of course, that whole part of his life was leading up to his current position as co-director of Bhakti Center. This is the culmination of his success, I think. Co-director of Bhakti Center. So he's very involved here. He moved to New York a couple of years ago and has been a big asset to our community and to the temple. So please welcome Sri Prahlad.
Thank you, Yadava.
You're welcome, sir.
Invited you. Thank you all for being here. It's an honor to share with you. Wonderful. So, Bhakti Center has many different programs that happen through the week. I think it's quite phenomenal. Pretty much every day there's a program here at Bhakti Center. And there are different communities associated with different programs. Some are introductory, and then some are for going a bit deeper. And so Bhagavat Sravana is one of our deeper next level programs, and it's always a pleasure to speak and to share and engage at this level. We have to choose a topic when we're asked to speak, and so the topic that I chose today is Prabhupada's Sutras. It's a topic that requires some explanation. I want to speak about Prabhupada's words. Prabhupada, spiritual master, founder, he wrote many volumes of books. He delivered hundreds, thousands of lectures that are recorded. And these words have changed the world, have changed the lives of thousands, hundreds of thousands, we could actually say millions have been changed by Prabhupada's words. And I want to analyze some of his phrases. Initially, I wasn't sure whether to go with Prabhupada's phrases or Prabhupada's sutras. I went with sutras, and I will explain why shortly. And essentially, our intent is to we'll look at Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 29, verse 48. This is Bhagavat Sravana, so we'll go to the Bhagavata, and we will read Prabhupada's translation and commentary on that verse. And as we do that, I'm going to ask you to pay attention to his language, to his what he's conveying, but also how he's conveying. And we will discuss that. So Prabhupada, obviously the most successful teacher of bhakti the world has ever seen. It's phenomenal what he achieved. The teachings of bhakti have had many great teachers over thousands of years. Most notably, our Ramanuja Acharya, he spread bhakti across much of South India. Also very famous. So he was 2002 years ago. They celebrated his 2004 years ago. They celebrated his 2000th anniversary just recently. Madhva Acharya is another great teacher. So he also spread bhakti, also mostly in South India. He established 11 monasteries, mostly located in South India. Then another great teacher 500 years ago was Sri Chaitanya. We have Chaitanya's deity here on the altar with Radha Murlidhara. And he went the length and breadth of India. He mostly concentrated his energies in Bengal and Orissa. And today in Bengal, Orissa, Bangladesh, there are generational followers of Chaitanya's teachings. In the, I don't know if it's hundreds of thousands or billions. And then in North India as well, in Vrindavan, Chaitanya sent his leading disciples to Vrindavan to write, to re-establish the lost holy places of Krishna's pastimes. And they initiated disciples as well. And so in North India, there's also a concentration of Chaitanya's followers. So those are some of the leading teachers of Krishna Bhakti the world has seen. Now Chaitanya prophesied, Prithiviteya Chayata Nagaradigram Sarvatra Prachara Uime Varano. In every town and village of the earth, these holy names will be chanted. And for much of history, people thought that was something very quaint, something very poetic that Chaitanya said. But it could never happen, really. Maybe he meant all of Bengal, or maybe he meant every town and village of perhaps Bengal and Orissa. Or maybe we could stretch it that he meant every town and village of the world, that means India. But no one deemed it conceivable. Few deemed it conceivable that it might literally be so that Harinam Sankirtan will be shared, celebrated, practiced in every town and village of the earth. Prabhupada did believe it. He believed those words of Sri Chaitanya literally. And he was given that faith by his own spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, in the very first meeting. This is Prabhupada's retelling. Prabhupada says, he said, you are an educated young man. You try to preach this cult in the English language. That will do good for you and to the people who hear you. So that's from the lecture in London. Prabhupada repeats this in different situations. The words vary slightly here and there. He said, you preach Chaitanya's mission all over the world. So Prabhupada received this instruction from his spiritual master, and he must teach Krishna consciousness in the English language, and Prabhupada understood it, I have to take it all over the world. That was Chaitanya's desire. My guru is instructing me that I must take this forward. In his first meeting, Prabhupada received this instruction, and in his last communication with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he received the same instruction. Again, can anyone describe the context for the last instruction or the last communication?
Probably he print books.
Okay, that's another instruction. But this instruction to teach Krishna consciousness in English and to take it to the world, he received as his very first instruction, and in their final communication, he received it again. It was a letter. Just a couple of weeks before Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati left this world, Prabhupada was living in Mumbai. He was a family man, he had a business, and he wrote to Prabhupada, to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, his guru, and he said, so many of my godbrothers are serving you so nicely. They're fully dedicated to your mission and they've sacrificed so much. But I haven't done so much for you. I haven't really done anything. Do you have any instruction for me? And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati replied by mail. And he said, you must teach Chaitanya's message in the English language and take it to the world. So their very first encounter and their very final encounter, like bookends, Prabhupada received the same instruction from his guru. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati could, he's a transcendental personality. He could see Prabhupada's future. This is your purpose, this is your mission, this is who you are. This is what you have come here for. And it's interesting that instruction is language. It's based on language. You are educated. You must teach in English. Take it to the world. And so Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati saw that in Prabhupada. He's well educated. He has a good grasp of the English language. This tool, this is the weapon, so to speak. We speak of knowledge as being like a sword. Krishna, actually, in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, he describes the sword of knowledge, and he says it is sharpened by the teachings of the Guru. The instructions of the Guru sharpened that sword of knowledge. So for Prabhupada, this language was his sword, that was his weapon. You take it with this weapon, you take this mission to the world. So Prabhupada's education was at Scottish Church's College in Kolkata, a liberal arts college. It was founded by Presbyterian ministers, missionaries, and they gave a very, very good education. He became part of the University of Calcutta. Prabhupada described one of his professors, Urquhart, his professor, Reverend Urquhart. He said he was a very good man, a scholar, and he described him as very saintly. And Prabhupada had Bible class with him, half an hour, over 4 years, a 4-year degree, right? Liberal arts degree. And the last 2 years in college he had philosophy with him as well, philosophy and comparative religion. It's interesting, right?
Yeah, it's just funny to hear Prabhupada's pastimes. He talks about he even learned Scottish history and, and you hear in between classes talking about all this and that. Shows the real human, exchange student thing.
Yeah.
Prabhupada went through like decades ago.
Right. And yeah, so he had, and his professor, you hear Prabhupada refer to him sometimes, and he wrote books on Vedanta and Upanishads as well. And what's really interesting, so this is some trivia for you. Do you know any other world teachers of Hindu Vedic philosophy that are alumnus of Scottish Churches College? This is super interesting. So you may well, how about take a guess? Like, stab in the dark. Who are some of the most influential teachers of yoga, Vedanta?
Vivekananda.
Yeah. So he's one. Scottish Churches College. Who else? Huh? Paramahansa Yogananda. Yeah, the autobiography of a yogi.
All the hard hitters.
Same college, same professor.
Really?
Wow, these are all like the big yogis that.
Yeah.
Did you also study under the same professor that Prabhupada studied under?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's
Not
weird.
Vivekananda, he was there before, but
Well, Vivekananda came to America the same year that Prabhupada was born.
right. Yeah. So he's much earlier. That same college that became Scottish Churches College. It's interesting, right? And
Do you have any more names?
yeah, I do actually.
Okay.
There were a whole bunch that became big in the Ramakrishna mission. So Nikhil, who was here in New York, founded the New York Ramakrishna mission. He was also same college, same professor.
What's the name?
Huh?
What's the name of
Nikhilananda. Prabhupada actually met him.
what Ananda?
Nikhil Ananda. I'm not going to look at it again. Yeah.
What's interesting though, when you brought up all those teachers, they all have such great like teachings, but the difference with Prabhupada is that he just emphasizes the personal aspect,
So it is interesting.
you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Because they were learning comparative religion, Vedanta, and the Presbyterian ministers were personalists. But then these others, they went towards the impersonalist understanding of Shankara. Whereas Prabhupada, he gave Bhakti Vedanta in the line of Ramanuja and Madhva and Sri Chaitanya. Okay, so there's a little background to Prabhupada's language, linguistic development, language development in his proficiency in English. I titled it Prabhupada's Sutras. A sutra This is from the Monier-Williams Sanskrit English Dictionary. A sutra is defined as a thread, a string, a cord, something that holds things together, an aphorism, a short precept. Then you get Vedanta Sutra, Yoga Sutra, Vedanta Sutra of Vyas, Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, and other such sutras. Pithy, short aphorisms that mean a lot. They are catch-all phrases that need to be explained, need to be unpacked, because they're like placeholders. So for a student learning the Vedas, that's too vast. Learn the Vedanta Sutras, you learn these little aphorisms, and you can memorize those. And you learn them with the Guru, who then also teaches you how to unpack them, how to explain them, understand and explain them. And so what I want to take you to are some sutras or phrases or that Prabhupada used that are concise but profound and philosophically laden, like very, very pregnant with all kinds of deep theological understanding. But, they have a rhythm, like a slogan, they can be easily memorized, repeated. Even someone who doesn't know much philosophy like hear a few of these phrases and then they can speak, which Prabhupada's disciples did. They learned these sutras from him and became teachers of very high theology, even though they didn't have much theological, philosophical training. Okay, so we need to now go to Prabhupada's verse and purport, and if I was well organized, I would have this already set up. But I don't. There we are. Okay. This is the one I wanted to discuss. Oh, you can't see. So how do we do this so that you can see? I don't know. We go escape. And then we go. Hopefully I'm not revealing too much of my whatever's going on my computer here. Okay, you can see that. So this is a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. We can read it together. We can read Prabhupada's purport, translation of Prabhupada together. So maybe if you can read from there, yeah? Can you catch it? Just make it bigger.
Bring it up though, you have to just go for word.
You can read that, right?
Bring it down a little bit. Yeah, you're showing the purport now, we need
I
translation.
know, but I'm just saying you can read it from there, right?
I can, I
Translate.
don't know if they can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can take turns reading 2 sentences at a time. I'll read the Sanskrit Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 29, verse 48. Usually before Bhagavatam, we say, you can repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Samlokanda viduste yatra devo janarana ahur dhurmadhiyo venam shakarmakam atad vadam. Translation. That's over. for
Those who
sharing.
are less intelligent accept the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies as all in one. They do not know that the purpose of the Vedas is to understand one's own home, where the Supreme Personality of Godhead lives. Not being interested in their real home, they are illusioned and search for other homes.
Okay, thank you very much. Nicely read. So when we read this, I want you to pay attention to phrases that stand out to you like Prabhupada's sutras, right? And you can bring this up on your phone as well if you want to. This is too far to read. Okay, purport.
Generally, people are not aware of their interest in life to return home, back to Godhead. People do not know about their real home in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, there are many lifetimes of planets. The topmost planet is Krishna, Krishna, Vrindavan.
Thank you. Next.
Despite the so-called advancement of civilization, there is no information on the Vaikuntha Lokas, the spiritual planets. At the present moment, so-called advanced civilized men are trying to go to other planets, but they do not know that even if they go to the highest planetary system, Brahmaloka, they have to come back again to this planet.
This is confirmed with the Bhagavad Gita 8:16. Abhava Punaloka Puna Arvartino Arjuna Mamupetu Tukunteya Punar Janma Vidyate. Okay. Anyone else want to read it?
From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again.
Thank you. Next reader. If one goes.
If one goes to the highest planetary system within this universe, he still has to return after the effects of pious activities are finished. Space vehicles may go very high in the sky, but as soon as their fuel is finished, they have to return to this earthly planet. All these activities are performed in illusion. The real attempt now should be to return home, back to Godhead. Should I continue?
If there's someone else who wants to read, go around the second time.
The process is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Yanti Mad, Yajino, those who engage in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead return home back to Godhead. Human life is very valuable, and one should not waste it in vain exploration of other planets.
One should be intelligent enough to return to Godhead. One should be interested in information about the spiritual Vaikuntha planets, in particular the planet known as Goloka Vrindavan, and should learn the art of going there by the simple method of devotional service, beginning with hearing. This is also confirmed in Sri Bhagavatam 12:3.
Kalergo Shamide Raja, Astiyekar Mahapulam, Kirtanad Eva Krishnasya, Mukta Sangha, Paramprajet.
One can go to the supreme planet, Parambajet, simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. And this is especially meant for the people of this age, Kalera Doshan Day. It is the special advantage of this age that simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can become purified of all material contamination and return home, back to Godhead. There is no doubt about this.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you all very much for your reading. I hope you have paid attention to Prabhupada phrases, like Prabhupada's specific phrases. And we're going to go now to, we're going to need your phones. Let's see. We can do this. Yeah, use this QR code. Scan it with your phone. And then share your Prabhupada phrase. Use a hyphen. If you're doing like, if it's like 2 words or 3 words, use a hyphen between the words and they come together. Do I need to activate it? to make it bigger. Let's see. Oops.
Thank you.
Your Prabhupada phrase. Remember to use a hyphen. So depending on what you're choosing, hyphenate the words so that they hold together. Nobody has responded yet.
Patience, patience.
Okay. All right. I think I'm going to hide it initially. So we see what it is. Just remember to use hyphens between your words.
Oh, between all the words. Okay,
Yeah.
I understand.
Otherwise it'll jumble them. We won't see what the phrase is.
Should I redo it?
If you can, yeah.
So, what is this? I'm lost without what's going on here. Is this some AI thing going on?
It's just class engagement, participation,
Okay,
seeing how closely we were paying attention.
I'm from the last century, so.
Let's see what. So those were that was the purport, that was the verse that we looked at. And I asked you to pay attention to Prabhupada's specific phrases that appear in that purport and verse.
I don't know how to do this kind of stuff.
I can show you if you
How are we doing? Are we still sharing or? Okay, let's have a look, see what we have here.
No, I did a couple.
Okay, so we have a word cloud, back, Godhead, home. There's no doubt about this.
Are these our answers?
These are your answers, yeah. Right. Not a lot of hyphens. There is no doubt about this. Was nicely hyphenated.
Thank you.
Return home back to Godhead.
What happened to less intelligent? It's the
Return
first thing
home,
that sticks out there. But
return home back to Godhead and Supreme Personality of Godhead. Back to Godhead, Supreme Personality of Godhead. These, I agree, are profound Prabhupada phrases. So thank you very much for your engagement here. We'll go back to our slides. Prabhupada Sutras. Takes a little while to come on board. And I want to discuss these with you. Supreme Personality of Godhead, back to Godhead, devotional service, material world, spiritual world.
Vaikuntha planets.
There we go. Okay. So you picked up some others, but this is what I wanted to focus on with you. Supreme Personality of Godhead was mentioned 3 times in that purport and verse. Back to Godhead was mentioned 4 times, and then there was an extended version of it as well. Back home, back to Godhead. Really, yeah, nice rhythm. It sounds like a slogan. So it goes from being a phrase to a slogan, and then return home. Return back home, back to Godhead. Devotional service, another Prabhupada phrase. Spiritual world, material world. And then at the end he said, simply chant Hare Krishna. Simply by chanting Hare Krishna. And so let us explore some of these. Because we had them just in one verse, purport, but they repeat all throughout his writings. These are profound Prabhupadisms, so to speak. So let's begin with Supreme Personality of Godhead. How do we understand that phrase? What does it mean? Maybe when you first read it or first heard it, what was your reaction? How do you understand it now? Anyone? Yes?
Well, supreme means that there are subordinates.
Okay.
And absolute means that relative, right?
Right. Okay, so he's the supreme, and everything else is subordinate to him, yeah?
Yeah, it's quite loaded, this phrase. It's really well chosen. Because the Supreme, like Chandra says, absolutely right. Personality. We're talking about a person here. He's a person. And Godhead. There may be gods all over the place, but he's the Godhead.
Right.
He's the supreme personality of Godhead.
There's so much there, right?
There's so much there.
There is like centuries of debate and vagueness. Like, what is God? God is love. God is an energy. God is the source. God is, like, people talk about God in so many ways. And Prabhupada chooses very purposefully this phrase, and he repeats it consistently throughout his works. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Krishna also himself declared that he is that personality.
He does. Yeah. But the Sanskrit words are Brahman or Parabrahman or Purushottama or Bhagavan and Ishvara, right? So these can be translated variously, and in translation, the Krishna's supremacy and personality and Godhead, his position as the Godhead, may not always carry or convey. And so Prabhupada very purposefully, consciously, and effectively uses this phrase consistently to say Krishna is not just a God, he is the supreme source of you and me, of the spiritual worlds, the material worlds. And he's not just an energy, he is a person who is the source of all energy. And he is there are different manifestations of God. He is the head, the source of all of them. It's most wonderful and most profound, and we see very effective. Like, who else was so successful in teaching bhakti around the world? And so sometimes we as followers, in order to not confront others or to be accepted, maybe we might use words like the divine, the source, divinity. Even though we have Prabhupada's phrase, we opt for these more vague, generic, blah type references.
There was a Jewish rabbi. I spoke up Israel mind, so I was kind of curious. What's really the name of God in Judaism? He said that first God is Hashem, but Hashem is like an impersonal aspect. But there are 64 other names, but they cannot highlight those names.
Thank you. Yes.
It makes me think you were just elaborating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you started your lecture saying Prabhupada's sutras. And really, it's amazing because Prabhupada, again, we were talking about how he's one of the different participants in the college, how Prabhupada went to personalism. And Prabhupada is emphasizing here this Siddhanta of the sutra,
Yeah.
this translation is Krishna Bhagavan Stu Swayam.
Yes, yeah, very good. So Akeshwar is highlighting a specific phrase, aphorism of the Bhagavatam, which our acharyas point out, and they say this is the Paribhasa Sutra. The most important phrase of the Bhagavatam is Krishna's tu Bhagavan Svayam, which you would translate, I don't know how many you have, but Prabhupada translates that as Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna's tu Bhagavan Svayam, thank you.
Original personality of God. Original personality of God.
Is that what he says there? Is that how he translates it?
Oh, one of the things too,
Yeah.
is when you were just elaborating on this last point, you're saying, well, what was it? When you first heard this, I was just like, how scientifical it sounds. Everything.
Okay.
Proper phrasing.
Right.
When you get to know it, you realize how much knowledge and emotion in there, and it's just such a way of
Yeah.
the science, like a physicist or a scientist, but it's quite personable and
Yeah.
affectionate and all those things.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts on this Supreme Personality of Godhead? Yes.
Is this also implies that he's halfway human like us, or?
Yeah, good question. So, well, in Christianity they say man is created in the image of God. So he has a form. Krishna has a form. Human-like. Our form is a reflection of his original spiritual form. Our body is made of flesh and blood and bone, so it's made of material energy. Krishna's form is made of spiritual energy. Eternity, knowledge and bliss. Satchit Ananda is how it's described. Yes, so yes, Krishna has a form, and he has personal, loving relationships with his devotees, and he is the source of all energy, and he expands his energy as spiritual worlds, material worlds, all pervasive. He's pervasive everywhere. That's also his energy as Brahman. It's also localized in our hearts. Personality is the source. Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Okay, so Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he surprised a lot of Prabhupada disciples who went to see him across the river from the Mayapur campus. And he said a lot of stuff that also blew my mind. Yeah. But one thing he said is, yes, Christianity is incomplete theism. And Gaudiya Vaishnavism is complete theism. And that's reflected in Christianity you say God is one word. But in the Sanskrit, whatever it is, there's so many terms for God, referring to him in different aspects. Right? You already talked about that. We should refer to Krishna. Like that.
Thank you for that. Okay, let's go to our next sutra. Material world. I guess material world we hear, but Prabhupada gives it as a nice contrast. Spiritual world. We have a material world and we have a spiritual world. We are familiar with the material world. I think New York had a material girl as well, who lived in the material world. Reference for anyone of the 80s. So yeah, Prabhupada, he gives us this nice contrast, very often speaking of the material world and the spiritual world. The material world is where we are conditioned, having forgotten Krishna, but where we belong is the spiritual world. So I'm not going to spend much time with that. This is important. Devotional service. So what is Prabhupada translating here with devotional service? what is he talking about?
Okay.
Bhakti. Yeah, so we are the Bhakti Center. And how do we usually, well, how might we translate bhakti when we speak to people very new? We want to be very broad, accommodating.
Love.
Love, right? Bhakti means love. Bhakti means
Devotion.
devotion. Yeah. Usually we'll say love, we'll say devotion. Huh? Devotion to Krishna, yeah. And Prabhupada very, very consistently uses not just love or devotion, which may appear a bit vague, he uses devotional service. Compound phrase. And what's the distinction when you add service to devotion?
You're engaged in it.
Right? Something that we engage in, it becomes active. It's not just a sentiment, it's not just a feeling, it's not something passive, it is expressive. It is a practice, it is something that we do. We do devotional service. The process of devotional service, that might be another phrase that Prabhupada we can include here. Process of devotional service. Bhakti is not just a feeling, it's a process. It is active and it is expressed as service. And we serve in so many ways. There are so many different activities that we engage in to perform. So it's a performance. Bhakti is a performance. We perform devotional service by kirtan, by serving the deity, by serving devotees, by discussing Bhagavatam as we're doing now. But even more broadly, cleaning, cooking, sweeping, dusting, administering, donating, working, all of these things can be done as an offering of devotional service. So yes, vague, fluffy, wishy-washy devotion or love becomes very specific and practical. Yes, Chandra?
One of my favorite things is over in 26 Second Avenue, the Prophet started out.
Yeah.
Prophet was having a class or something, and then this guy walked in off the street. He had a roll of like
Toilet paper.
toilet
That's a
paper.
famous story,
He
yeah.
walked in, he brought it, put it into that little toilet in the corner,
Yeah,
and Prabhupada said, his devotional service has begun.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. Yeah, very good. A famous story, a much loved story, that Prabhupada appreciated somebody's service, and he called it bhakti. He Prabhupada accepted it. So this person who walked off the street, he was perhaps drunk or high, homeless. Somehow he had come into the center, and where Prabhupada would give talks and hold kirtan, and he noticed that there was no toilet paper there. And so he'd gotten some from somewhere and come back, put it into the restroom, and Prabhupada was giving his talk. He put it in the restroom and he walked out, and Prabhupada said, "That is devotional service." And how wonderful, yeah? How wonderful that Prabhupada acknowledges. Bhakti we consider something very high, very elevated. And Prabhupada took this person's offering as bhakti, as devotional service. Thank you for that. Okay, we're ready for what was some of the other Prabhupada. How are we doing with time, Deborah? We're coming
minutes.
close. Okay. This one. Back to Godhead. Can't remember how many times, I think it was 4 times in that purport. Prabhupada mentioned back to Godhead. And yeah, how do we react to this? What is Prabhupada conveying with this phrase? Or back home, back to Godhead.
Well, through devotional service to Krishna and following the path, you could hopefully one day stop coming back to the material world and return to the spiritual world, go back to Godhead.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. And so that's what you just repeated in that one sentence is the beauty of how Prabhupada presents Krishna consciousness, another of his phrases. So simply, one little sentence, and what you just shared is actually very, very high, elevated theology. Through the process of devotional service, we can return back to Godhead. You won't find such a clear explication of this teaching nearly anywhere. And, yeah.
Yeah, it also implies that you were there and you came,
Uh-huh.
so now you have to
Okay,
go back.
yes, there's another implication there. That we have come from somewhere, we have come from Krishna, from the Godhead. We've somehow forgotten, we've been lost, we struggle, we're trying to find happiness and love. And Prabhupada's saying, you need to go back to Godhead. Yes?
Again, that's another one of those where Prabhupada again, where you turn with that back to Godhead. It's so scientifical and hip, you know? It's like back to Godhead, yeah, let's go. But it's so scientifical. And again, Prabhupada is emphasizing like your relationship with the divine. It's like personality, Bhagavat Sravana, bam, 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 chant, chant, chant.
So you're appreciating the rhythm of Prabhupada's phrases as well. They're memorable, they're slogan-like, they have a rhythm, they have a
That
cadence.
is one of the first things I read. I saw Back to Godhead. I'm like, who's this man? He's like this. Back to Godhead.
Yeah, so he called his magazine Back to Godhead. His first effort to fulfill his Guru's order to teach in the English language. He started a magazine
You
called
see Prabhupada like
Back
this?
to Godhead.
With the mudra and the chutter.
Yeah.
And it's Back to God. The whole magazine is such a celestial. I mean, you're talking about in the 60s and you had all that esoteric, so scientific.
Right.
Prabhupada wasn't even trying to sound. And you see at 26nd Avenue?
Excuse me. We have 5 minutes left. I just want to make sure this is progressed. Do you have time to cover what you want to cover?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
This is like it's so bright, you know.
Yeah, and so, yeah, this wonderful, wonderful phrase. And Prabhupada in his magazine, he had a slogan beneath it: Godhead is light, nescience is darkness. Where there is Godhead, there will be no nescience. And the masthead has the sun,
Yeah.
Lord Chaitanya in the sun, and then Western
Krishna
human
Surya Sama.
civilization in the clouds and the darkness, and then they're looking to the sun of the Godhead. Yeah, very wonderful. Okay, another really nice, simple, profound message. Simply by chanting Hare Krishna. Simply by chanting Hare Krishna, you will go back to Godhead. Other ones that are not in this book are that you are not the body, you are spirit soul. Right? There's beautiful slogans there, beautiful phrasing, beautiful cadence. Simply by chanting Hare Krishna. So yeah, there is a summary. Prabhupada's phrases: Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Sanskrit is Bhagavan Purushottama, Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. Spiritual world is Vaikuntha, Goloka, Vrindavan, or Paravyoma. Paravyoma is spiritual world.
In between. Paravyoma is in between, isn't it?
No, that's the anyway. That's the garage.
Oh, Paravyoma.
Devotional service, Bhakti Yoga, back to Godhead is Param Gatim, maybe? And then chant and be happy. Kirtanareva Krishna's, yeah. Will achieve spiritual perfection. So, in the last seconds, any reflections? Now when we read Prabhupada, yeah, we can pay attention to these to these things, and don't be shy to repeat them, rather than the divine and divinity and love. Go with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, devotional service, back to Godhead.
Harinamayo Kevalam.
When you do devotional service, you have to do some affection. And let's say over time, you start burning out from affection, now you become mechanical. How are you going to benefit from that, being mechanical and not affectionate anymore?
Okay, thank you for that. So the question is that as we practice the process of devotional service, it can become ritualized, and we can practice it in a mechanical way without the actual sentiment or feeling of bhakti. So two things. One is continue the practice as the heart's purified, the effect will be there. The other is seek out the association of devotees who do chant with that feeling, or discuss the Bhagavatam with that enthusiasm, that sentiment. Find those devotees who, if we find that our practice has become mechanical, find devotees for whom it is actually very, very much an expression of the heart. And the reason why I say that is because the Bhagavatam itself says that this is a contagion. It transfers from heart to heart. We receive it from the heart of a devotee like Prabhupada, who is, who carries bhakti, who expresses it, who's lively and enthused, and he can convey it. And so similarly, if we find that it's somehow maybe become ritualized, find those devotees who can reignite that spark, that fire. Thank you. Yes.
Hare Krishna. I love that you asked the question, what were our initial impressions of some of these slogans or sutras?
Yeah.
And I thought that was such a great question to ask. And for me, just a general answer, without going, we don't have time for any details, is what a difference, like a very much a difference, much deeper, much more personal relationship with these concepts and these sutras. And just the reference points are completely different over the last couple of years. And that's not through any sort of intellectual prowess or something like that. It's feeling. It's feeling, it's comfortability. It's slowly just becoming closer and closer, I think, to whatever, the relationship is. So it's a feeling. And I heard somebody say this the other day, sort of a related thing, that the first time that he was in the temple, I don't think it was this temple, but it was another temple, he didn't even see the deities.
Right.
And I had the same exact, I'm sure I'm not the only one, me and him, the only, us two, I had the same exact experience. The first couple of times I was in this temple, a couple of years ago, I didn't see the deities. Didn't see them, they're right there.
Yeah.
And I'm not a visual person, but come on now, so I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that have happened that way, that were right in front of me. And then when I finally saw it, I said, this was right in front of me before.
Yeah.
So it's just, you have to open, and you can't fake that, you can't force it, you just open. And so thank you for having me reflect on some of the process of growth and change. It's been quite natural, which is the coolest thing of all.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, I really love that reflection. And what I really love is how you link our engagement with the text, like Prabhupada's word phrases, and with the deity. So the first time, second time, you might not even see it, although you said it was profound. But then in time you actually start to see, and then it starts to expand. Like, wow, there's a whole universe of profound theology in there. Yeah, thank you very much. Stay well. Thank you.
All right. Sri Prahlad Prabhu ki
Jai!
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Wonderful time. Thank you. So we'll have the arti now. We'll clear the chairs and cushions, and stick around, we're not done yet.
I think I still didn't see. Sometimes I'll see things that I'll come back and I go to something else.
We'll also be offering lamps. Want to take down to the house to count during our team.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gauravadi Pachari. Avai Charanavadita Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Shri Rup Shri Sanatan Bhattaravana Shri Jiva Prabhupada Sravana Sato Swami Prabhupada Ki. Prem Sivaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Puritananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gaura Gopala Shavakund Radha Kud Giri Govardhan Ki. Ganga Devi Ki. Ramana Devi Ki. Bhakti Devi Ki. Tulsi Maharani Ki. Harinam Sankirtan Ki. Namaram Nirtan Ki. Rajagovi Shri Vrindavan Dal Ki. Shri Shri Radha Murlidhar Ki. Shri Gaura Chandra Ki. Shri Shri Radha Damodar Ki. Shri Prabhupada Ki. Hari Gaura Premanand Ki. Glory to this universe. Glory to this universe. Glory to this universe. All glory to Shri Shri Guru Varma. Glory to Shri Prabhupada.
If you didn't offer a lamp, please do come up and we do repeated prayers.
Namaste Nara Singhaya Yato, yato, yamitato, nisingo. Bye, nisingo, dear, bye, nisingo. Nothing amarin charan
Thank you, Keshwar Prabhu. And thank you once again to Sri Prahlad Prabhu. Wonderful kirtan early on and a wonderful class unpacking these sutras. It's just such a great way to look at it, you know. Marketing. So, do you think like, did he intentionally try to do that, or just sort of like a natural thing? Do you have any opinion on that?
I think it was purposeful,
Yeah.
because it's so consistent.
Yeah, it's very consistent. In one sense, you could say he even summarized the Vedas
Right.
in his definition of bhakti.
Right.
Right? It's just all there. Beautiful. Okay, so we have Prasadam coming up, but before that, we can't really relish Prasadam fully unless there's some announcements first. So let me try to fulfill that obligation. As we all know, it's Kartik. It's a very auspicious month. We've been having at Bhakti Center this Sponsor a Day program, this opportunity. It's been ongoing for quite some time now. It's especially potent during Kartik, so just to draw your attention to it. Sponsoring the whole worship of the deities for an entire day. It comes to $351. If anybody's interested in doing that, please come up, scan the code, talk to somebody who knows, and you'll be able to do this wonderful service again, especially during Kartik. So we have several festivals before the month is over. Next Monday, that's a week from tomorrow, is the Diwali festival. This is one of the most popular festivals here. It's got news coverage on CBS News, and big, legit mainstream media news coverage. So that's on the 20th. Please come for that festival. 2 days later, the Wednesday after that Monday, is Govardhan Puja. It's one of the devotees' favorite holidays because after all, Krishna is a young boy. He lifts a mountain, and there's no fasting involved. So that's a very popular festival. That's on Wednesday the 22nd. And a few days after that, Saturday, I think it is, the 25th, is Prabhupada's Disappearance Day. So we can celebrate Srila Prabhupada. There will be a festival here for that. And then, we celebrated Gaur Chandra's Appearance Day on the first day of Kartik last week. And we inaugurated the month with a festival. And on the last day of Kartik, which is November 5th, we will also honor that day with a festival of 1,000 lights. So please come back to Bhakti Center for one or all of these festivals as you have time and bandwidth for. All right, so thank you once again for coming. We are here for Bhagavat Sravana every Sunday at 11 o'clock. So please tell your friends and family and come on back yourselves. There's a vegan feast being served right now, so please take your prashad to your full satisfaction. And remember, simply chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Shubha Bhakti! Yeah.
Feeling better? Yeah? Is it just a cold?
You needed your touch.
Someone coming to take Let's ask him more sharp.
Two Pacharis for the price of one. Two Pacharis for the price of one. Nothing. The delay on the train helped me halfway through.
Oh, was it really?
I've memorized